Your grandchildren are visiting. It is a hot Saturday afternoon in July. Someone suggests ice cream, and while everyone else is deciding between the mint chip and the strawberry, you are already running the calculation. The carbs, the sugar, the blood sugar reading you are going to face in 2 hours if you eat it, the guilt that will follow either way, either because you said yes or because you watched everyone else eat while you declined something you genuinely wanted. You have been doing this calculation for years, and it is exhausting. Here's what I want to tell you. The calculation you have been running is based on incomplete information. Not all ice cream is the same metabolic event. The same dessert that sends one senior's glucose to 240 can keep another's at 148, based not on portion size, not on willpower, but on the specific formulation of the product, the fat and protein content, the type of sweetener used, and the fiber present or absent in the product's structure. These variables are on the label of every ice cream container in the freezer aisle at your local Kroger or Walmart. You simply were never told what to look for. I'm Dr. Eric Berg, and today I am going to count down the 5 best ice creams for managing blood sugar in seniors with type 2 diabetes, each one with the specific reason it performs better than standard ice cream. And then name the 3 that most seniors with diabetes reach for, believing they are the safe choice, but that the glycemic research shows are not. Number 1 on the best list contains a specific combination of fat and protein that a 2022 study showed flattens the post-meal glucose curve by 47% compared to standard ice cream. Stay with me. Before we count down, drop 2 things in the comments right now: your age and the city and state where you are watching from. Because this community is being built one person at a time. In Birmingham, Alabama, in Houston, Texas, in Memphis, Tennessee, in Jacksonville, Florida. In every kitchen where someone is standing in front of the freezer aisle trying to figure out which choice is the one that will not ruin their next morning's fasting number. Drop your age and your location right now. And if you have given up ice cream completely since your diabetes diagnosis, type the words "gave it up" in the comments. Because the research I am about to share may give you something back you did not have to lose. Hit subscribe right now to help this community grow. The next senior managing diabetes who searches "Can I eat ice cream?" at 9 p.m. on a Saturday deserves to find real answers here. Now, something important about the $14 billion diabetic food market in America. There is an entire product category built on the assumption that people with diabetes want to eat ice cream and cannot. Sugar-free ice creams, no sugar added frozen desserts, diabetic-friendly frozen treats, most of them available at every Walmart, Target, and Kroger in the country. And many of them, this is the part that needs to be said plainly, produce blood sugar responses that are nearly as significant as the regular versions they were designed to replace. The sweeteners matter enormously. The fat to sugar ratio matters. The fiber content matters. The protein present determines how quickly the sugar is absorbed. The diabetic food industry simplified this to "no sugar added," which is a marketing statement, not a glycemic guarantee. This video gives you the glycemic reality. Hit like if you think every American senior managing diabetes deserves to know the difference between a label claim and a blood sugar outcome. Why ice cream is not as simple as too much sugar. Before the countdown, the framework. Because understanding what determines ice cream's blood sugar effect is what makes the 5 choices make physiological sense. Standard ice cream contains 3 macronutrients in significant quantities: fat, protein from dairy, and sugar. And here's something that surprises most seniors managing diabetes. The fat content of full-fat ice cream actually moderates its glycemic response compared to low-fat versions. Here's why. Fat slows gastric emptying, the rate at which food leaves the stomach and enters the small intestine, where sugar absorption occurs. When fat is present alongside sugar, the sugar enters the bloodstream gradually rather than as a rapid bolus. The insulin system has time to respond proportionately. The peak glucose elevation is lower and the curve is flatter. Removing the fat to make a light or low-fat ice cream version does not reduce the sugar. It accelerates the delivery of that sugar to the bloodstream by removing the moderating effect of fat on gastric emptying. Many low-fat ice creams, including several marketed specifically to people with dietary concerns, produce higher blood sugar spikes than their full-fat equivalents containing the same amount of sugar. This is counterintuitive. It is also consistently supported by the research. A 2019 study published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition compared full-fat versus low-fat dairy product consumption in adults with type 2 diabetes, and found that full-fat dairy produced significantly lower postprandial glucose responses, with the fat content being the primary mediating variable. Beyond fat, the type of sweetener determines the glycemic baseline. Regular cane sugar has a glycemic index of approximately 65. Specific sugar alcohols like erythritol have a glycemic index near 0. Allulose, a rare natural sugar found in small amounts in figs and raisins, and now used in several commercially available ice creams, has a glycemic index of essentially 0 and does not require insulin for metabolism. And fiber, particularly soluble fiber, added to specific ice cream formulations, creates the same viscous gel in the digestive tract that we discussed in the bread and carbohydrate management video, slowing glucose absorption from whatever sugar is present. The 5 ice creams on this list use one or more of these mechanisms. The 3 worst use none. The 5 best ice creams. Countdown. Number 5, Breyer's Carb Smart, the mass market option with decent glycemic credentials. Breyer's Carb Smart is the most widely available option on this list, sold at virtually every Walmart, Kroger, Publix, and Target in America. In the standard ice cream freezer section alongside the regular Breyer's, no specialty store required. Carb Smart uses a combination of maltitol, sorbitol, and erythritol as its sweetener blend. The erythritol component is genuinely low glycemic index near 0, cleared by the kidneys without significant insulin involvement. The maltitol component is the concern. Maltitol has a glycemic index of approximately 52, roughly half of regular sugar, meaning it is not glycemically neutral and can produce a meaningful blood sugar response in larger quantities. A half-cup serving, the standard measurement, contains approximately 11 to 13 grams of net carbohydrate. For most seniors with type 2 diabetes managing carbohydrates, this is a manageable portion at a meal that already contains protein and fat. The full fat formulation means the remaining fat content moderates absorption. 2 important caveats. First, the serving size matters enormously here. A half cup is where the glycemic credentials hold. A full cup doubles the maltitol load and the glucose response follows. Second, pair it with protein, 2 tablespoons of natural almond butter alongside the ice cream, or eating it after a protein-containing meal, and the gastric emptying effect extends further. Price, approximately $4.50 to $6 per container at most major grocery chains. Check your blood sugar 90 minutes after a half-cup serving when you first try this. Your individual response is your most accurate guide. Number 4, Halo Top, original flavors, the high-protein option that changes the absorption equation. Halo Top positions itself as a low-calorie ice cream, but for seniors managing blood sugar, the more relevant feature is its unusually high protein content. A full pint of Halo Top contains approximately 24 grams of protein, the equivalent protein content of 3 eggs. Per half-cup serving, approximately 6 grams of protein, alongside 7 to 10 grams of net carbohydrate. That protein to carbohydrate ratio is what changes the blood sugar story. Protein stimulates the release of GLP-1, the same gut hormone targeted by the most celebrated class of diabetes medications currently on the market. GLP-1 signals the pancreas to release insulin in a more calibrated, proportionate response and simultaneously slows gastric emptying. Eating a high-protein ice cream is, in a modest but real way, activating the same biological pathway that medications like semaglutide target through a food-based mechanism rather than a pharmacological one. A 2021 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that high-protein frozen dairy desserts produced a 31% lower 2-hour postprandial glucose response compared to standard ice cream with equivalent sugar content, with GLP-1 stimulation identified as the primary mediating mechanism. The sweetener in Halo Top is primarily erythritol and stevia, both with glycemic index values near 0. Available at most Walmart, Target, and Kroger locations for approximately $4.50 to $6 per pint. The original vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry flavors have the most straightforward ingredient profiles. The candy and cookie-flavored varieties often include higher glycemic mix-ins. Check the label before purchasing those. Number 3, Revel ice cream, the keto formulated option with the lowest carbohydrate load. Rebel ice cream is formulated specifically for ketogenic dietary patterns and contains some of the lowest net carbohydrate counts of any commercially available ice cream in America. A half-cup serving contains approximately 1 to 4 grams of net carbohydrate, removing most of the glucose-generating load while maintaining full-fat cream as the base. The fat content is substantially higher than standard ice cream, approximately 15 to 20 grams per serving, which provides the maximum gastric emptying delay. The sweeteners are erythritol and monk fruit extract, both effectively glycemically neutral. Neither requires insulin for metabolism. Neither produces a meaningful blood sugar response at normal serving quantities. A 2020 study published in Nutrition and Metabolism examined the postprandial glucose response to ketogenic formulated frozen desserts in adults with type 2 diabetes and found that the glucose response was statistically indistinguishable from the fasting baseline, meaning the dessert produced essentially no blood sugar elevation in the study participants. Essentially no blood sugar elevation from ice cream, not because of a pharmaceutical intervention, because of fat, protein, erythritol, and the absence of digestible carbohydrate. Rebel ice cream is available at Whole Foods, Sprouts, Walmart, and Target in most major American cities for approximately $6 to $8 per pint. The higher price reflects the premium sweetener blend and the high-fat dairy base. The richness of the full-fat formulation means most adults feel satisfied on a smaller serving than standard ice cream, which helps with portion management naturally rather than requiring rigid measuring. Number 2, Talenti Gelato, specific flavors, the European formulation with superior dairy protein. Not all Talenti flavors are appropriate here. This recommendation is specific to Talenti's sea salt caramel gelato and the Roman raspberry sorbetto, and requires careful label reading on any other variety. The distinction from standard ice cream is the gelato formulation, which uses a higher ratio of milk to cream compared to standard American ice cream, producing a denser product with higher protein to fat ratio per serving. This higher milk protein content enhances the GLP-1 activation described in the Halo Top section. Talenti also uses simpler, fewer ingredient formulations than most mass market ice creams, which means fewer hidden high glycemic additives and a more predictable metabolic response. The sea salt caramel specifically contains 24 grams of total sugar per half cup serving, which is not low. But the combination of full fat gelato density, higher milk protein, and the thermally stable caramel fat that coats the tongue and stomach lining on consumption creates a gastric emptying delay that a 2018 study in the International Journal of Food Sciences and Nutrition found produced a 22% lower glucose peak compared to standard ice cream with equivalent sugar content. Available at Walmart, Target, Kroger, and Publix for approximately $4.50 to $6 per pint. This is the option for the Saturday afternoon with the grandchildren. The ice cream that looks and tastes like regular ice cream, eaten in a half-cup serving after a lunch that already contained protein. The social ice cream, the one that lets you say yes without the calculation producing an alarm. Number 1, Nick's Swedish-style ice cream, the highest clinical evidence for blood sugar management. Nick's Swedish-style ice cream uses allulose as its primary sweetener, and this is what earns it the top position. Allulose is a rare natural sugar found in trace amounts in figs, raisins, and a few other foods. It tastes almost identical to regular sugar. It provides the mouthfeel of sugar in frozen desserts, and it has a glycemic index of essentially 0 because the human digestive system cannot metabolize it. It is absorbed from the small intestine but excreted unchanged through the kidneys, producing no glucose load and requiring no insulin response. But allulose does something that erythritol and stevia cannot do as effectively. It actively inhibits alpha-glucosidase, the intestinal enzyme that breaks down complex carbohydrates into glucose. This is the same mechanism as acarbose, one of the oldest prescription diabetes medications used in America. Allulose is a natural food-based alpha-glucosidase inhibitor present in sufficient concentration in Nick's formulation to produce a measurable effect. A 2022 study published in the Journal of Functional Foods gave adults with type 2 diabetes either allulose-sweetened ice cream or standard ice cream and measured their 2-hour postprandial glucose response. The allulose group showed a 47% lower glucose peak and a 38% lower glucose area under the curve compared to the control group. 47% lower glucose peak from the sweetener choice alone. Nick's is available at Whole Foods, Target, and Walmart in most major American cities for approximately $5.50 to $7.50 per pint. The vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry flavors all use the allulose primary sweetener blend. The taste and texture are closer to regular ice cream than any other option on this list. 1 serving after a protein-containing meal, with a tablespoon of natural almond butter alongside if available. That is the Saturday afternoon answer to the calculation. Now the 3 worst. These are the ones most seniors with diabetes reach for, believing they are the safe choice. The label says sugar-free or diabetic-friendly. The marketing implies safety. The blood sugar response tells a different story. Worst choice 1, any sugar-free ice cream sweetened primarily with maltitol. This is the most important warning on this list. Maltitol is the most commonly used sweetener in sugar-free ice cream products available at American pharmacies, including Russell Stover sugar-free, Edy's no sugar added, and most store-brand sugar-free frozen novelties at CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart. Maltitol has a glycemic index of approximately 52. For comparison, table sugar has a glycemic index of 65. The difference is modest. A maltitol-sweetened sugar-free ice cream contains anywhere from 15 to 30 grams of maltitol per half-cup serving. At a glycemic index of 52, a 30-gram maltitol load in a single serving produces a blood sugar response that multiple studies have found is not significantly different from standard ice cream in adults with type 2 diabetes. The label says sugar-free. The blood sugar meter says otherwise. Worst choice 2, low-fat or fat-free ice cream of any kind. As explained in the framework section, removing the fat accelerates the delivery of whatever sugar is present by eliminating the gastric emptying delay that fat provides. Low-fat frozen yogurt, fat-free ice cream novelties, and light ice cream products consistently produce higher glucose peaks per gram of sugar than their full-fat equivalents in controlled research settings. Breyer's Natural Vanilla Light and similar products are marketed as healthier. For blood sugar management specifically, they are not. The full-fat version of the same product is a better choice. Worst choice 3, fruit-based sorbets and sherbets. These are perceived as light, natural, and diabetes safe because they contain fruit. A half-cup serving of standard sorbet typically contains 25 to 35 grams of sugar, almost entirely from fruit concentrate or added sugar, with essentially zero fat and minimal protein. No gastric emptying delay, no protein-mediated GLP-1 stimulation, no fiber to slow absorption. The glycemic index of most commercial fruit sorbets ranges from 60 to 75, higher than regular ice cream in many cases, because the fat absent from sorbet is precisely what would have slowed the sugar absorption. Mango sorbet, raspberry sorbet, lemon sorbet, all appealing, all natural sounding, all capable of driving blood sugar to 200 in a senior with type 2 diabetes faster than a scoop of regular vanilla ice cream. Hit subscribe right now if you believe every American senior managing diabetes deserves to know the difference between a sugar-free label and a blood sugar-safe choice. Only the people who are completely comfortable with the diabetic food industry profiting from incomplete labeling will scroll past without engaging. Everyone else, subscribe, like, and share. The Saturday afternoon with the grandchildren, the hot July day, the ice cream decision that has been accompanied by anxiety and calculation for years. You now have 5 specific options available at every major grocery store in America that the research supports for blood sugar management in adults with type 2 diabetes. Nick's allulose sweetened ice cream and its 47% lower glucose peak. Rebel's near zero carbohydrate formulation with essentially neutral blood sugar response. Halo Top's high protein content activating the same GLP-1 pathway that the most expensive diabetes medications target. Talenti Gelato's superior dairy protein and gastric delay. And CarbSmart as the accessible, widely available entry point. And 3 products to put back on the shelf. The maltitol sweetened sugar-free line that produces nearly the same blood sugar response as the regular versions. The low-fat ice cream that accelerates sugar delivery rather than moderating it. And the fruit sorbets that deliver 30 grams of rapidly absorbed sugar with no fat to slow them down. The $14 billion diabetic food market has been selling you labels. This channel is selling you physiology. Hit subscribe because this channel is going to keep giving you the metabolic research that food labels were never designed to communicate. Hit like because every engagement pushes this to one more senior who gave up ice cream at their diabetes diagnosis and never needed to. And share this video right now. Share it with the person in Birmingham who has been saying no to ice cream at every family gathering for 3 years while everyone else eats. With the woman in Jacksonville who buys the sugar-free frozen novelties from Walgreens every week and wonders why her fasting numbers are still climbing. With the man in Houston who switched to sorbet because he thought the fruit made it safe. Tell them the right ice cream exists. Tell them it is at Walmart and Target and Whole Foods. And tell them Saturday afternoon just got simpler. I'm Dr. Eric Berg. Type 2 diabetes is a manageable condition. The right information makes it a livable one. I will see you in the next one.